Hello and welcome to the monthly orientation training for OU Campus. My name is Paul Warren and I'm a software trainer here at Omni Update. During this session, we are going to overview some basic and end user functions. During this presentation, I'll be working in a sandbox environment, but if you are an existing customer, you can follow along in your own instance as the platform functionalities will be the same. I'll be logged in as a level 8 user, so please be aware that depending upon your user level and individual user permissions, you may be restricted from some of the functionalities I'm going to be showing today. If you have a question during the presentation, you may submit it by clicking the Q&A section located at the bottom of your screen. Please note, though, that the Q&A section may not be available if you're viewing this webcast through the browser. You may need to install and view the webcast through the Zoom extension for access to the Q&A section. I'll attempt to address your questions as we go along, and there will be a Q&A section at the end of the presentation where I will answer any remaining questions as time allows. If I don't get a chance to answer your question during the webcast, I will email an answer to you afterwards. With all that said, let's go ahead and begin. So for the agenda today, we're going to be going over how to log into OU Campus, an interface overview of the interface, basic page editing, creating new content, uploading content, and like I mentioned earlier, we'll go ahead and finish up with a Q&A section. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look. So when you come into your site, one of the nice things with OU Campus is what we have is what we call a direct edit link. So you can go to the page that you want to edit and click on that direct edit link and be taken directly to the page that you want to edit. Now each school is going to be a little bit different. So here I'm going to go ahead and move over to my example page that we'll be working on. I'll scroll down to the bottom of it here. And for my user ID for OU Campus here that we're doing for Galena University, our direct edit link is this last update button down here on the bottom. What I'm seeing with a lot of schools, they'll actually use the copyright symbol as our direct edit button. Other places, what we'll also see is maybe a transparent box or a graphic somewhere that they can click on and go to that page. So here we're on our Paul's example page. I'm going to go ahead and click our direct edit link here. I'll sign in as a level 8 user. So let me go ahead and log in here. And as you can see, it brings us directly to that Paul's example page for editing. So here we can go ahead and start our editing process. The interface itself is broken down by a series of menu bars across the top here. The first bar that we have, this blue bar, is our navigation bar. So that walks us through the different navigation areas within reports, add-ons. Our content we'll be looking at quite often today. Over here on the right-hand side, we have a global search that searches only within your site, within OU Campus. It's not a web browsing search button. This is only searching for your site. You've got your user here. You also have help and support that you can get to different support if you come across something, you're looking for assistance in something or trying to figure out how something works. You've got your support link here as well. The next line down, this is our breadcrumb bar. So we can see that we're in content pages. We're in a subfolder called train_training, and we're on our example page. Over here on the right-hand side of that same bar, we've got our site bar. So depending on your site, in this case here, I only have Galena as the only site that we're working with. Your site may have a drop-down where you have multiple sites. So let's say you have a School of Business and a School of Architecture, and they're two independent sites from each other. You would be able to come to this drop down over here and go ahead and decide what site that you want to go to. Our Page Actions toolbar goes over our preview of the page. We can edit. We've got a link for properties. We'll talk about versions, site check, saving versions, and then we have this edit button here. Well, we have our light bulb. With a light bulb, this allows one of the big functions within OU Campus is a check-in, check-out feature. So if right now where it is lit up as yellow, that means I have it checked out. I am the only person that can work on this page. If I check it in, the light bulb goes off. That means it's available for anybody else to go in and check that page out. So in this case here, I can check it out by clicking on the light bulb itself. Also, it automatically checks out for me if I click on an editing button where I want to go into the content and make a change to this page. If I check it in here, we can see that we're currently on our edit page. We also have our properties page here. So this gives us our properties of the page. If I have this checked out to me, I get an additional link up here for parameters. So that we'll talk about parameters a little bit later when it comes into how you can set up your page and make changes to the page. Now, one of the things to keep in mind, if this page is checked out to me, nobody else can work on it. Administrators 9 and 10 do have the ability to go in and check in a page that's not checked out to them. So if you're looking at a page and it has a little lock next to it, that means that somebody else has it checked out. When you hover over it, it will tell you who has it checked out, and you can either contact them, or let's say something's come up and you know they're away for the day or a couple of days, you can go through your administrators to get that page checked back in. Now, one of the things, pages will check out to you, but the only time they will check back in automatically is if you come up and you publish a page. So if you're just working on a page at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you have your pages checked back in if you're not going to be needing them anymore. One way to do that is over here on our right-hand side, we have a little plug, and those are our gadgets. And when we go in and click on our gadgets, these are set up based on the page that you're looking at. So the number of gadgets will flow. Right now we have about 20 gadgets, but you may not see all 20 at one time depending on where you're at within the system. One of the gadgets that we have that's kind of a best practice to work with is we can move it to the top here is My Checked Out Content. So what you can do at the very end of the day, come in here to My Checked Out Content, and we can see the different pages that we have checked out. So in this case here, this training example page is checked out to me. So when I go ahead and check that in, it goes ahead and turns off the light bulb right here for me, so I know it's checked in. At this point here, I can come in here and check in the rest of the pages, so I'm not having those still checked out at the end of the day. So let's look at how we edit pages. When I click on edit, it brings us to our edit page, and we now have these green buttons on here. This one's saying main content, so it's letting me edit the main content. So I'll go ahead and click on that. This is what we call our text, our editor. This is a WYSIWYG editor called Just Edit. And within here, what it does, it shows you the area that you'll be working with. Let me see if I need to update this a little bit. This shows me the area that I'm going to be working with, and everything else is grayed out around it. So I know I'm not working in that section. So within here, you have a general toolbar. Now this toolbar, depending on your user, your administrators have the ability to customize this toolbar. So you may not see all the features that we're seeing here, but this is a standard toolbar that you may see if you're using other programs. You've got your basic editing, your bold, your italicized, your underline, your cut, copy, paste special, We've got a spell check in here. You can do formatting in here. You can link to things. You have different fonts and families of headings. You can go ahead and link to pictures or videos. We also have a couple of customized links. We have what we call our snippets, our assets, and our components. And we'll talk about those a little bit later. To save changes, up here in the far left-hand corner, we've got save and exit, which will save the page for you and exit. We've also got exit without saving. And then this last one here is restore last draft. And that would be you're working along and you accidentally hit the button on your computer and it shuts down. This goes ahead and will save your last draft for about 20 minutes. So once you sign back into the system, come in here, you can click on that and that should restore what you had as of your last draft. So it'll go ahead and keep that information in there for you. Now, one of the things that we have here, so this is how you would store things. As you're making changes here, what we have is considered a decoupled system. So there's a staging server, which OU Campus is running on, and then there is a production server as well. So this actually works to your benefit because you can make changes to your page on that staging server, which we're looking at here, without it actually showing up live on your production server. So there's no system lag to your production server if you have a lot of people working on the system at one time. Let's say it's a busy time of the year, everybody's getting their pages update. That won't affect your production server as well. It also gives you the ability to go in, make changes in the background before you actually publish them out. So you can see what the page will look like before it actually goes live on the internet. Up here, we have a versions button. So this will give you the versions that you've done over time. What we always recommend, which I haven't necessarily done here every time, but we always recommend that you put in a description when you're doing a version. Now, when you publish something, it will automatically create a version for you, but you can also manually create a version as well. And we can go ahead and come here and we have a link for save version. So you can go ahead and click on that. Like I said, we always recommend a version description. Versions do not leave the page and you cannot remove them. So in this case here, I've got a long page of versions, but I could go back and figure out where I wanted to go based on some of these descriptions that I have in here. The one here that is highlighted in green, the very top one here, that is the one that's currently on our production server. So I can always go back and see exactly what's on that production server. If I want to see that page, I can come up to that version, view on live, or click on view, go to page, and that opens up in a new window what my page looks like on the real server. So it actually takes me out to that page. If I want to make changes to my page, come back here and go back to edit. If I want to make changes to my page here, I can go ahead and click on main content. This brings me into my editing feature within a WYSIWYG, and what WYSIWYG stands for is what you see is what you get. So in this case here, let's say I want to change my heading a little bit. So I can see right now it's a heading 3. Maybe I want to take that up to a heading 2, and I want to change the color on it. So I'm going to change the text color to this dark blue. So with the WYSIWYG editor, as you're making the changes, you can see what they're going to go ahead and look like. If I want to take out text, so I'm going to come down here and delete this line of text. I'll just go ahead and highlight it. Click delete, it removes it for me. If I want to add text, you can just type it in. And that will go ahead and add the text for us as well. So you can easily work with this just within your regular formatting. If I want to go ahead and select this, I want it bold and italicized, I can just go ahead and do that. I can also use my keyboard shortcuts of Control-B and Control-I and Control-U for bold, italicized, and underline as well. So those do work in the system. When I'm done with making my changes, I just go ahead and click Save and Exit, and that updates my page so I can see what's going on here. Now, if I want to take this, I can go ahead and save it as a version. So I can come up here and go to Save Version. We'll go ahead and put in a description here, and we'll click on Save Version. So now, if I come into my versions, I can see the green one is still what's live on the page itself in production, but I now have another version here. So this is saved. I can always come back to an older version, but again, this is the current one. The green one is what's live. So if I'm curious what has changed on the page, I can actually come in here and we have a compare option. So I can go ahead and click on Compare Page. And what that will do, oops, that didn't do what I want to do. Let me go back to my versions here. How come I'm not getting what I'm looking for? There we go. For some reason, it just didn't take it the first time. What this will do is actually show me what has changed. So in this case here, the blue heading, even though I made it blue, it's going to show up blue no matter what color I made it, because it's saying this is text that was there, but it's just been modified a little bit. We've changed the formatting on it. Anything that we've deleted will have a red line through it and be in red. Anything we've added will be in green with an underline on it. So you can easily go back and compare what's new on this page, what has changed on this page from what's actually there on the page. Now, if I realize and I come in and I publish this out, I'm going to go ahead and publish. So now if I check this out again, I go back to my versions. We can see now that has created a new version for me. I didn't put in a description on it, but we know that that's the new one that's on the page there. Now, if I realize that I don't want any of those changes, and I want to go back to my prior version, we actually have an option here to revert. So this will go ahead and take all those changes that we just did and revert them back to the monthly orientation setup one that I had. So I'm going to click on revert, and it gives me a question. Are you sure you want to revert this? I'll go ahead and say revert. And now if I go back to my edit, all those changes are gone. So we're back to the black heading, and we've also got no additional text down here, plus we still have the delete this line from the page. So you can easily revert back to pages. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and publish this out. It gives me the option to put in a version description. We'll click on publish here. Now, if I go back and log in and look at my versions, we can have our reverted to original one. We click on our view, and here's our live page. So it's taken out any of those changes that we did by reverting it back to the page that we wanted. So that's where comments come in very handy, because you can always see what you want to go back to. If we want to add an image, let me go ahead and close out that page, and we'll go back into our edit. If I wanted to add an image on here, I'm going to come in. I've got my main content button here. I'm going to click on my green button. And let's say I want to place an image right at the beginning here. What I can do, there's two different options that I can do. I can do a right click on it, and we have an option for Insert Edit Image. We can also have a link up here. Go ahead and put my cursor back. And we have a link up here of some mountains and the moon or sun, depending on how you're looking at it. You can go ahead and click on that, and that will also give us our insert image box. So this gives us our pop-up menu. We can navigate to where our images are. Now in this case here, it's already set up for me. I'm in my sites. I'm in the Galena site, I'm in _training, and I'm in a folder called images. Now your administrator can set this up depending on where your images are. So this could be different depending on where you are in your system and where the administrator has you going for your images. In this case here, let's go ahead and select this footbridge image. We'll go ahead and insert it. If I try to click OK at this point here, it shows me that a description is required. This is for our alt text. So on all our images, we do have to have a description. So I'm going to put in footbridge. For your tooltip, go ahead and copy here, paste it here. For our tooltip here, this is when you hover over that image. So similarly to when I come up and hover over my menu items here, I get the little pop-up box saying what those things are. That's what this tooltip will do for me as well. So when I hover over the image, that will show up for me. We can also change the size here at the same time. So if I realize that I want all my images a certain size, a certain width, or a certain height, I can go ahead and change those here. Now, one thing I want to point out here is when it comes to the source, we, instead of having the full URL as our source, we do have the full URL below it. So we can still see it's in our images footbridge folder here. But this is what we consider a dependency tag. And the dependency tag works within the system to keep track of where everything is. When it comes to your pages, your images, any documents, it goes ahead and tracks where those are. So over time, if you have an image and you need to move that image from one folder to another, or you rename that image, this dependency tag will keep track of it for you. So you can go back to it. So it will automatically update things so you don't end up with broken links. So as we're going through the system today, you'll see several places where we have these dependency tags coming in and working for us. If I want to make changes to this, I can also go to Appearance. And in this case here, it gives us a brief preview of what it might look like when we go ahead and put this in. So it just gives us our little flower here. Now we'll notice here that I've got a lot of space open above the text here. So I want to change that. So for the alignment here, I'm going to go ahead and change that. So I want it aligned left. So now it brings up the text right next to my image here. Now in this case here, when I'm looking at it, the text and the picture are a little bit too close together. So I want to create some space there. So on my horizontal spacing, I want to add just a little bit of space. So I'm going to add 10 here and click on OK. Now, I wanted to show you that because if you click on OK or hit Enter, it's automatically going to drop you out of there. So it's one of the things to kind of be careful of is when you're working on something, in this case here within our picture and our advanced settings, you don't want to hit OK or Enter, otherwise it will drop you out of it. If that happens, you can just come back here, click on your picture with the right click, and you have Insert Edit Image. So now I can come back here and go back to my appearance. So in this case here, I'm just going to add my 10 back in and then just click outside of the box. So now that gives us our horizontal spacing. Now in this case here, it doesn't specify if you want that spacing on the left or right. So it did it on both sides. So down here, we have our style, and then this is our CSS style. And what we can do, we can see that we've got it floating on the left, which we want. We want a margin on the right on 10 pixels, which is what we want. But we don't necessarily want this margin on the left. So I'm just going to come down here and delete that. So now when I click outside the box, it updates it for me. So we just have the margin on the left here, or margin on the right here, but the left is now justified on the left-hand side. So in this case here, this is looking good to me. I'll go ahead and click OK, and it drops my picture in. Now, once the picture's in here, if I need to change the size, I can still do a right click on it, go to Insert Edit Image, and I can change my dimensions here. But maybe I'm not quite sure how much I want to change it. It's still kind of fluctuating. If I cancel this, I can actually come in here, and when I've got my picture selected, we have these little bumpers here. And we can go ahead and grab one of these and we can just drag it to the place that we want. So I can go ahead and resize it directly here with this just by clicking the little handles that we have around here. Additional things that we can do, hold on one second here. Additional things we can do, we can link to things as well. So there's several different types of links that we can do. We've got internal links, we've got external links, we've got documents that you can link to, and you can also have email links as well. So to go ahead and create a link, we'll select what we want to link to. So in this case here, I'm going to link to internal page. Again, there's a couple of ways that you can activate this. We can do a right click on it and we have insert edit link, or we also have up here at the top, we've got insert edit link. It looks like a little chain link. So when I click on that, it gives us our pop-up box. And we can go ahead and select where we want this to link to. So when I come back in here, I can see that I'm in my sites, I'm in Galena, I'm in _ training. Maybe I want one of our athletic pages to be linked to. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Galena because I want to go up one level. Now I can see I've got my athletics folder here and I want to use the Gophers page. So it gives me a preview of the page here. I'll go ahead and click insert. Text to display. Right now, that's just showing that internal page that we had highlighted. I actually want to change this because it's not as descriptive as I would like. So I'm going to say Gophers page. And again, a title for hover over if you want that. So I'll go ahead and put in Gophers page as well. Now for target, we actually have two different options. We've got none and we have new window. Pretty much a general practice is you're going to a page within your website and it's another page in the site. You just go ahead and open it up in the same window. So you don't end up with a ton of windows open. So you're going from page to page within your site. If you're going to a page outside of your site, that's when we always recommend opening it up in a new window. So you still have your site opened, and then this new page that is a different site or maybe a document, you can open up in a new window. So in this case here, I'm just going to go ahead and say none. Now, depending on your site, you may have classes set up. I don't have any set up for Galena here, but you would have a class that you can actually apply to this. So it may be a button, something that looks more like a button, different things like that. So you can go ahead and open classes up and have a drop down of maybe one or two or several options there to work with your class settings. When you're done on here, let me point out here, we do have our dependency tag up here. So I can still see the link that I'm going to within athletics and Gophers, but then we do have for our URL, it changed it to our dependency tag. So that will keep track of where that page is for us throughout the system. So I'll go ahead and click on OK. We can now see that we have a link here for our Gophers page. Now, if I click on it at this point, it doesn't do anything for me because I'm still in the editing area. But if I go ahead and save and exit, I've got my Gophers page, and when I click on it, it takes me to my Gophers page. To do an external link, I'm going to go ahead and do main content. Let me refresh this. If I come down here and I want to do an external link, I do it the same way. I go ahead and click on external link. I click on the insert edit link button, or I can do a right click on it. My URL, let's say we want to go to fasfa.gov. And text to display, I'm going to change this to FAFSA. Title, it's optional, so I'm just going to leave it blank this time. Target right now is none, but I actually want this to open up in a new window. And again, no class. Now, when I click OK on this, it's going to recognize, yes, it's a URL here, but it's not a fully qualified URL. It has to have the HTTP or HTTPS on this. So OU Campus is looking at this for me and saying, do you want me to add the HTTP to this, since it is a URL? So I don't need to do it. So I'll go, OK, go ahead and take care of that for me. So I'll click on OK. And that goes ahead and updates that, so it is a qualified URL. Now, if I come down here, I've got a document here. So I'll go ahead and hover over my document. It works very similarly. I'm going to insert edit link. I can go to my URL. I can see right now I'm in training. I can go to my documents. We have a sample document here. I'll insert it. Again, I can add a title if I want. And again, as target, it's up if you want to open this in the same window or open it in a new window. We'll click on OK. And we can go ahead and preview this out. So in this case here, if we come down here, I go to FAFSA. That will go ahead and take me out to their site, and it opens it up as a new window for me. If we want to go to our document, we go ahead and click on our document. We have our beautiful sample document here. So that opens it up for a new window for me as well. So depending on how you want those to open up, you can either have it open up in the same window or open up in a new window. So we're going to go ahead and go back in here to edit. And we'll edit our main content. The last link that I want to show you is an email link. So email link works a little bit differently. If you come up here and look at your links here, you've got a insert edit link, you've got a remove link, you have an insert edit mail to link. If I do a right click on this, there's no mail to link listed here. So for an email link, you definitely need to go in, you select it, and then click on the email link at the top. So then it comes in, you can select your address. I'll go ahead and use mine. And you can put in a subject. Oops. And again, you have the option here for classes. And we'll click on OK. So now that has added this link for me. Now, when I hover over it, we can see that we didn't have the option for a title for it, but maybe I do want to put a title on it. So I can come over this link and do a right click on it, and now I can insert or edit this link. So now I have the option to put a title. So in that case here, we can click on OK. So now if I come back down over this link, it'll go ahead and give us our little pop-up there, mailed to Paul Warren. When we're done, we can go ahead and save and exit, or we can exit without saving. And now that we've made some changes to our page, we can see that this Restore Last Draft button is actually activated now for us. So if something did happen, we lost power, we accidentally kicked the power plug on the computer, we can always go back to it. Additional things that we have here on our menu bar, we do have a spell check. So we can go ahead and click on our spell check, and that will show us where things are checked here. Now, this is a static spell check, not dynamic. So if I come in here and keep typing some things in and they're spelled incorrectly, it doesn't automatically pick it up for me. What I would need to do is turn off the spell check and then go ahead and reactivate it. Then it will pick up those things. Depending on the words that you're working with, in this case here, I've got toolbar, but spelled incorrectly. When I click on it, it will give me options if it recognizes that, and I can go ahead and change that. If I have another one here, it doesn't know what it is, I can actually just click in here and go in and make the change to it. If I have something and let's say, we have mindfulness here, and I come in here, I do have an option, Oops, I don't want everything in there. Let me go ahead and turn that off. Run the spell check again. So we've got mindfulness here. If I wanted a different word, so let's say one of these words here that's just a keyboard smash, I did want to add it. Depending on your authority that's been granted to you by your administrator, you may have the ability to go ahead and add that to the dictionary. So this is one of those things you might not see it in your user profile, but you may have that where you can just go ahead and directly add that to your dictionary here. We can cut, copy, and paste within here. Again, this is what you see is what you get. So in here, if I wanted to take just edit here, I can cut it. I've got my icons up here on the top. I can cut, I can copy, and I can paste or paste special. So in this case here, I can cut it. I can also use Control-Z or Control-X, which will cut that for me. I can use Control-C to copy. I can come up here. If I try to paste it within using the menu on the menu bar, so let me go ahead and copy, let's go ahead and copy WYSIWYG here. So I'll copy it, come down here to the next line, and I want to paste it in. So I come up to the top here, I click on paste. It gives me an error telling me to use Control-V instead. And this is a safety feature built into Chrome. So right now I'm using Google Chrome as my browser. And what it's set up to do is prevent web applications from going in and pasting things on your page. And OU Campus is a web application, so it's not letting it do it. So in this case here, to paste something, I would just do Control-V, and that will go ahead and paste it in there for us. Your keyboard shortcuts do work. Your copy is Control-C, Control-V is your paste, Control-X is cut. And if you want to paste something without formatting, so you've got something formatted, maybe it's a piece of text that you're bringing over from a Word document, and a lot of times Word will have different formatting built in that comes across with it. When you do Control-Shift-V or paste without formatting, it'll strip out that formatting and just give you plain text as it pastes it in there. Something else that we have on here, some customized things that we have, we've got what we call our reusable content. So in here, our first one that I want to talk about is our assets. So there's several different types of assets that we have. And you can tell the differences by right in front of them. We also can filter out the different types. So we have web content. What web content is, it doesn't mean you're setting up a web page or having to work with any type of source code. It just gives you the ability to create an asset using the WYSIWYG browser or WYSIWYG editor. So it makes it easy to edit. You can create an asset with plain text. You do have the option to use source code. So if you're a person that knows how to build things within source code, you can build an asset using source code. And then depending on your site, you also may have image gallery and forms. Image gallery puts together a series of pictures for you, so you can load them as a gallery, and forms gives you the ability to build forms that you can go ahead and place on your site and have people fill out forms and be able to submit those into you. One of the nice things with assets is you can place an asset on several pages at one time or over the course of time. And then when you need to update that asset, you can update it in one location in the asset itself, and that update will reflect on all the pages. So an example of that might be if we've got, we want to post out what our tuition rate is. So you know that the tuition rate is going to be a certain dollar amount and you want to have that on several pages. You can go ahead and take that asset, create it, go ahead and place it on, let's say we put it on 7 pages. When we get to the next semester, maybe we need to make an adjustment to that dollar amount. We can make the dollar amount change on the main asset, and that will reflect and put it through to all 7 pages. So we don't have to go to each of those pages and make the update. The asset will actually do it for us. So as an example of an asset, I'm going to go ahead and place an asset down here on the bottom. Going to make some space here, come back into our insert assets. I can select by the type, or I can click to add tags to the assets. But in this case here, I know the one I'm working with is a source code asset, and it's a Twitter feed. So I want to go ahead and put our Twitter feed at the bottom of this page. So I'll go ahead and select that asset. We can see that it is source code here. I'm going to insert it. And when it comes up on the page, in the editing section, it doesn't show me what the asset looks like. What's going to happen is you're going to get this green and white bar letting you know where the asset's going to be placed, but you won't be able to see it within the WYSIWYG editor. So when I'm ready to see it, what I would do, I'll go ahead and click Save and Exit. That will refresh our page, and now down here I can see that we've got our Twitter feed for Omni Update. Now if I have an asset there and I realize I don't want it, I can actually go in, we'll go back to the top here into Main Content, and assets are easy to remove. If it's not selected, it will be shown here with gray and white stripes, but I could just come in here, click on delete, and it removes that for me. Another thing that we have here are what we consider snippets. And snippets are similar to assets because you can place them on multiple pages. But with snippets, once they're on the page, you can actually go in and customize what they look like. So let's say the Alumni Association is going to be doing a process where they want to have different quotes from alumni throughout the site. And they want to go ahead and keep the same formatting in each location that it's at. So that's where you can go ahead and add in a snippet. So if we come in here, and I'm going to come into my snippets, which is the little puzzle piece here. And we can go ahead and select different things. So in this case here, what I want to use this accordion. So this is going to be an accordion that will open and close for me. So I'll go ahead and insert it. And this gives us basically it's a table that we're working with. So you can always add or remove rows as you're working with a table. In this case here, we can actually come in here and change our heading. And change our content here. Oops. Let me go ahead and go back here. And if I wanted to make additional changes to this, I can change the font size of it. I can change the font family if I wanted to. I can change the color of the font as well. Now, one of the things where an asset and a snippet are different, with an asset, you can't make the changes on the page. So with the asset, let's say we had that scenario where we're doing the tuition out there. Once the asset's placed on the page, you can't go in and make changes to what it looks like. With a snippet, once it's on the page, you can go in and make changes to what it looks like. So it's a little bit different there when it comes to those two. So when I want to see what this will look like, let me go ahead and change this back to Paul's heading. I'll go ahead and click Save and Exit. That now puts our snippet here, so we can see we have Paul's heading and Paul's content with the formatting changed, and I can easily close that, and we have a little accordion that opens up with all of our information that we want to see here. When we're done with the page and we want to publish it out, oh, no, before I go into that part, I want to show you one more thing. Let's go back into to our main content. And I want to talk about our third reusable component, which is our components. So components here are the little atom icon. So I'm going to come down here, and below our snippet here, I'm going to insert a component. And in this case here, I'm going to insert, and I've got several different components here. So I'm going to do this student spotlight one. Now it doesn't show me a preview of it, but I'll go ahead and insert it. And one of the nice things with components, you're given a form to fill out. So in this case here, this is going to be a student spotlight. We're going to place this on several different pages, but each one's going to be different as I put in the information here. So the student name, we're going to have Mike here. His major is chemistry. Oops, not dentistry. Graduating year, oops, let me go ahead and fix this. Graduating year, we're going to say 2020. What inspires you? We can put that in here, and then we can even add a picture into this one. So in this one here, we'll go ahead and select a picture. So I can see that I'm in my Galena folder here, and I know I've got some pictures here in resources. I've got some images. Actually, let's go to a different place. Let's go back to Galena. Let's go back into our training folder and go to these images. And I've got a picture here of Mike. So I'm going to go ahead and insert that. And then provide text for alt image for the image itself. We'll go ahead and add that on there. And then we'll go ahead and click on save. Now, when it adds this component to the page, it doesn't actually show me what it is. It gives me this blue pill-looking thing. So it tells me where the student spotlight will be. If I need to make a change to it, though, I can click on it, and it gives me the option to edit it or delete it. In this case here, I'm going to leave it on here. I'm going to go ahead and do my save and exit. And then that will go ahead and open up that component for me so I can see what it looks like. So again, this is something I could put on multiple pages and have on each page a different thing for different students. But once I have it on the page here, I can't change what it looks like. So it's kind of a crossbreed between a snippet and an asset. Now, one of the things that is nice on here is if I realize I want Mike's name capitalized as well, I can actually go back into the component itself, change the main component so that the name field is bolded. And at that point, it would update all the other pages with that bolding. So it's not just the one page, it would do all of them for me. Now, once we're done with our page and we're ready to publish it out, we would go ahead, we've got it saved here. So I'm going to go ahead and run what we call a page check. So our page check here, we've got several different options. First thing we have here, you may notice 4 items here on your page. Depending on how your system is set up, you might only have 3, you might have 2. You might come in here and some of these start running by themselves right away. So I've seen some sites where they'll have the spelling and the link check run automatically once somebody comes in here, just to make sure that those things are checked properly. In this case here, I'm going to say run all. So we'll go ahead and run all these. When you're checking within here, we do have several different languages. So depending if you have specialty pages with specialty languages, we do have, so you can run the spelling check on those. In this case here, we're going to go ahead and look at our spelling here. So we've got our show results. So we can see different things here that we have that the spell check is picking up. In this case here, depending on, it'll show you how many instances it's finding it, and depending on your user ability, you may have the option to add it to the dictionary directly from here as well. For links, it's going to go through and look at the links that you have on your page. So in this case here, we can see that we've got a couple of links that are broken here. Now, the first one here is our FAFSA.gov. It's showing us that it's just a warning, and the warning with that, just from experience, because we've done this before, is FAFSA.gov is now an HTTPS. So there's a redirect on here that goes ahead and redirects that to the correct page. The other thing that we have here is for our footbridge. We can see that in staging it's working fine, but in production it's not. And we'll talk about reasons that would happen when we get to the point of uploading pictures and how pictures need to be placed on the staging server, but they also need to be on your production server. So with that footbridge, it's in our staging server, but it's not in our production server yet. So we'll look at that in a little bit. When it comes to W3C validation, this gives us information making sure that things are working up to HTML5 code. So if you don't have access or are real familiar with working within the source code, you might not be able to repair these. Some campuses will actually have that turned off for the users so they don't need to worry about it. And then for accessibility, this will show us our results when it comes to web accessibility and how friendly it is following ADA guidelines. So we have known problems or problems that the system picks up that it looks at and tells us what can be done with it. We also have potential problems, and potential problems, there's actually a third category called likely problems as well. Potential unlikely problems are ones that the system's basically picking up, but it needs somebody to really look at. So here we have an H1 maybe used in formatting. So maybe we're not using the H1 header here in the proper way. So it gives us an idea of anything that we might need to look at and make a change to. Now, we can get to these checks a couple of different ways. I did at that time by coming up here and clicking on the page check. Additionally, if I come up here and click on publish, I also get those same page checks. So here I can go ahead, if I wanted to select a different language, I can do that, and then I can put in a version description. Snippets. And others. I'll go ahead and click on publish. So now if I come back in here on the bottom, I can see that the page has been published successfully, is now live on the web. If I want to view that, I can view in a new window, and that will open up a new window for me. I can come down here, see that we have our snippet here. We also have our component here as well. So it ran those page checks for us if we wanted. Like I said, some, depending on your site and how your system is set up, those page checks may run automatically for you, or you may have to click on them to go ahead and run those. Now, when we come back in, come back over here, go back to edit, and we can see on our page here that as we've been editing things, we're only editing this main section here, but we have other places around the page as well. We've got our header and our footer on the page here, and then we also have this side navigation. So in this case here, these will be set up differently for each school. So depending on what yours may look definitely different than what I'm doing, but here's kind of an example of the way it might be set up. So when it comes to the page heading, those are actually located in a different location altogether. So if I come in here and I go back up to my breadcrumb here, I'll go to pages. I'll go to my root menu by clicking on the house, and I know that my header and footer information is in the resources folder, and it's what we consider an include file. So we're going to go ahead and click our includes, and we have folders here for our header and our footer. So if I come into my header here, we can see that our header is broken down into several pieces. Now, depending on your site, your header may be one piece instead, and then when you click on editing it, it'll have that green edit button that we've been seeing earlier today. So it just depends on how your site is set up. So in this case here, what I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and open up my page again. So we can see here is our header. Go ahead and bring this up a little bit. If I come in here and I click on Nav Top Include, this gives us our calendar, directory, and A to Z. If I look at my live page, here's our calendar, directory, and A to Z. If I go back and I look at our contact information here, gives us our call today and our email address. If I go to the live page, it gives us our call today and our email address. So as we're looking at our header and footer, they're basically broken down into different parts. And then when you're looking at it and it goes into production, it brings it all together for me so I can see what that page looks like. Let's see here. Can close that. So that's where your header and footer will be located, usually in the resources and probably in an includes folder. If I go back to pages, let's go back to our training page. So I'm going to come back here. I'm going to go back to my root directory, go back into training, go back into my example page. And then as we're looking at this, whoops, another thing that we don't have access to, we don't see, is maybe I want to change the page here just to say example page instead of Paul's example page. So what I can do here is this is in a different location. To get to this, I'm going to come up to properties and I want to go into parameters. Well, if I don't have the page checked out to me, I don't see a parameters option. Once I check the page out to me, I now have a parameters option on here. So when I go to parameters, I can see here what our page heading is, Paul's example page. I can also change things on the page, such as left column options and right column options as well. So I'm just going to change this to example page and go ahead and save. And that updates that for me, so now it's just example page. The other thing I can do, maybe I want to see the page as I'm making these changes. So what I can do here is under our gadgets up in the upper right-hand corner, I'll click on Show Gadgets. And right now we can see we've got my checkout gadgets open, but I also have another one here for page parameters. And when I open that, I can see that this gives us the same information that we had when it came to our page parameters. So we can see we have our example page here, we have our left column options, we have our right column options. So in this case here, I want to turn on that right column. So I'm going to go up here, click off and change that to on. And when I save it, it goes ahead and adds to me that right column. Now this is something that's going to be customized based on your site. So you may see these options, you may not see these options. They may look differently. So sometimes instead of having two completely different sections, you might just have several different options for a 3-column page or a 2-column page or a 1-column page. So it's going to be different based on your site. So in this case here, if I do want to go ahead and change it back to Paul's example page, we'll go ahead and come back up here to our page heading. Click on Save, and that goes ahead and updates that for us as well. Now on here, we've got our quick links within our right column. If I wanted to turn that off, we do have the ability to come down to our right column. We can add directory navigation if we want. We've got our quick links that we can turn off or on. And then we also have content region that we can turn off or on. So it's very detailed on how you can go ahead and work within that. The last section on the page that we don't really have access to right now is this side navigation here. This is actually a separate page altogether. So if I want to get to this page, I'm going to come back up here, go to Content, and click on Pages. And this is actually in my Side Nav page. So I'm going to click on Side Nav, and now we're on that Side Nav section. So in here, earlier we created that link to the Galena Gophers page. So I want to add a link here for that page as well. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to add Gophers page. And then select it, do a right click on it, and we'll insert a link. So the URL that we want, again, it's in the Galena site, and we're going to change this down to our athletics and our Gophers PCF. We can see our example here. Click on Insert. Title is going to be Gophers page. And class, we don't need to worry about. We'll go ahead and click Insert, and we'll save that. So now if I go back to my content and pages, and I go back to my example page, we can see on here that I now have my Gophers page as another link on here. So that's where that side nav page is coming in. But something I want to point out though, and have out there as a reminder, is that these are actually two separate pages. So if I come in here and I publish this page out now, we'll put in their added Gophers page and we publish this. Comes up to view in a new window. When I go to my live production page, it's not showing that Gophers page on here. So that page needs to be published out separately. So what I can do, I'll come back in here, I'll go back to content pages, I'll go back to my side nav page here, and what I want to do is I'm going to publish it out. So we'll just put added Gophers as our comment. We'll publish it out. So now that's been published out. So if I go back to my live page and refresh it, we now have that Gophers page on here. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind if you're working on something and you look at your page and you're missing that side navigation. Oh yeah, that's a separate page altogether. I need to publish that out. So let's go back in, go back to our example page here. And actually, I don't want to go to the page here. I want to go content pages, and I'm just going to be in my training directory here. So at this point here, I'm on my directory, and I realize I need to add a new page. So in this case here, we have our green icon up here for new content. So I'm going to click on that, and that will bring me into a series of icons, and these are my templates. So your site will have different templates that are customized specifically for your site. So in this case here, we have new sections, we got a blog subsite, we've got interior pages, and then we have column pages as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pick a 2-column page with content on the right-hand side of it. So I'll go ahead and select that, and it opens up an information block where we can go ahead and give the page title. So let's just say this is going to be our sample page. Oops. Oh, darn it. Caps lock off. We can give it a description. And then the new file for file name, we'll go ahead and let it know what we want to see it as. And then do we want to add navigation? This is basically asking, do I want to have navigation added to that left-hand side? In this case here, I'm going to go ahead and leave it as yes, and we'll go ahead and create. And it brings us to our page here. So we can see we've got it named sample page here. It's added to our navigation on the left-hand side as well. We've got our main content region, and then we also have a content region on the left-hand side also. So at this point here, if the page is where I want it to be, I'll go ahead and publish this out. Click on Publish here. Comes up in a new window. and we can see our new page here. Now, like what we just saw previously, we don't have that new page, sample page listed on the side navigation here. So that's something that we would need to go through and publish that separately. So I'm going to come back here, go back into my pages, go content, pages, come to the side nav link here, publish, and we're going to put in added special or sample. Publish this out. So now if I come back to my live page and refresh it, it now adds that to my left-hand directory here, our left-hand navigation. So let's go back in and come in here. Next thing I want to do is create a folder. So what I can do is our binary folder, we'll click new. We can create a folder here as well. So again, depending on how you're set up and authority that you have or access that you have, you may see this option, you may not see this option, but create new folder is basically for binary files. So this will be for any type of documents you may have, for images, if you have a video that you're uploading, anything like that. This wouldn't be for any web pages. So this is basically just a resources folder where you can go ahead and put in different resources that you may use on your pages, but not for the actual pages themselves. So in this case here, I'm going to call it Paul's Images. I want to use all lowercase. Oh, while I'm thinking about it, right here we have our helper text. And it's something that you want to look for as you're setting things up. So in this case here, name the new folder, use lowercase letters, numbers, underscores, and hyphens only. So it kind of gives you some guidelines on how you're setting stuff up. So we'll go ahead and use Paul's underscore images. And we'll go ahead and create it. So now we have a new folder here called Paul's Images. So in this case here, we can go ahead and add images, documents, anything like that to it. The other thing we can set up here is we can also set up new sections or subsections. So we'll come up to new, and with our folder, we can see we've got create new folder here, but then we also have new sections as well. So they are different. Again, the new folder is just for any type of binary type files, which is your videos, your images, your documents. But in this case here, we want to actually a new section page altogether. So I'm going to go ahead and call it new section. The directory name, this is what's going to be visible. So we'll call it Paul's new section. The page title, enter the page title. This will be shown on the, actually, hold on here. This is where I want it lowercase under the directory name. The page title is what we want on the main page. Go ahead and fix this here. We can put in a description, and again, do we want to add that navigation to the left-hand side? We'll go ahead and leave it as yes. So in this case here, we'll go ahead and hit create. And it tells us it created 2 files. So this gives us our new section that we can work with here. It did add the navigation on the left, and just remember that when we go to publish this out, we need to publish out that page as well. So it gave us, whoops, our new section name, Paul's new section, as we wanted. If I go back in, it said it created multiple files. So if I come back into my content, go back to pages, I can see here when this created for me, it created that index file, but this now has its own side nav file. So this would be the file that I would need to go ahead and publish out when I publish out this index file. So if I was ready to go ahead and have this published out, I can actually come in here, I can select both files at the same time, and I do have an option here to publish. So I can go ahead and publish this. Now, what I want to show you here is currently I have this index PCF doc, this page checked out to me. So when I publish it, it lets me know that there's something that's checked out here. Do I want to include that? So in this case here, I'm going to say include those checked out files. We'll go ahead and put a note here and click on publish. So now it tells me that 2 files were successfully published. So now I can come in here, go back to my index page, look at the versions. We can see that we have it published out here. And when I view that page, here's Paul's new section. But you know what? It didn't publish out that second page. Not sure why it didn't do that. Let's go back in here. So it shows that that was published. Let's go back to our content pages. Look at our side nav here. Oh, because we never added that. That didn't get added to the side nav here. So it is actually showing correctly. We don't have anything on the side nav page for this. We would need to come in here and add it in. So it is showing correctly here. There's nothing on the side nav. This is picking it up from the other page, the page that's above it, and then we have our new section here. Now, if I want to upload content, let's say I've got images that I want to bring in, I can actually upload into the site as well. So I'm going to come back here to Content and Pages. I'm going to come in here to Training, and then I'm going to come down here to my Paul's Images folder. And let's say I want to have some pictures brought into this image folder. So what I can do is we'll come over here and we'll click on Upload. And if I have extensions that I don't want it to have, there would be a list here of blocked extensions. If there's specific extensions that I have, let's say I can only use JPEG or GIF images, it would have that as available extensions. In this case here, this is just some text that we had put in when we were playing with the system a while ago, so we don't need to worry about it. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and upload files. I'm going to click on Add. And let's say I want the speaker and the rainbow file. So I can select them, click on Open, and it goes ahead and brings those in here. Now, depending on how your system is set up, in our case here, everything is lowercase. Maybe I had a file that came in and it was an uppercase letters in it. I can actually come in here right now and rename those before I even upload them into the system. Other ways I can put things in here, I can come back here to Add. I can see my information here, my different files. I can actually drag and drop these in here. So as I grab this image here, when I bring it up over this pop-up box, I can see that it gets a green border around the image, around the edges there. So that lets me know that I'm in the right place to go ahead and drop this. So I'll go ahead and drop this in here. So I can go ahead and close those. So I'll cancel that out. It gives me those pictures there. And at this point here, I can go ahead and start my upload. And that uploads those for me. Now, other ways that I can do this, so I could upload that way. The other way I can do, while I'm in my folder here, if I have my images available, I can actually come in here, select them, and drag them directly onto this page here. Or at least I thought I could. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. I know I can bring them here and drag them directly to it. Okay. Try this one more time. There it goes. Probably because I had that open on the bottom. So in this case here, I can drag and drop directly into the folder here. And again, you'll see that it gets the green box around the outside. So I can go ahead and bring in those different pictures here. Now, once I have my pictures in here, I can go ahead and make edits to them. So let's say we want to take this purple flower picture here. Once we're looking at it, we can rotate it. So depending on how it came into the system, if it's sideways or upside down, you can rotate it here. You can also crop it. So let's say we want to take out some of the sky here. We can crop it down and apply the crop to it. We also have the ability to resize it here if we wanted. So we'll go ahead and close out this button here. We have the option to cancel. That will just revert the picture back to the way it was. We have save. This will save the picture. It will save the original picture with the crop on it or any of the other changes that we've done. We also have a save as. So let's say I want to keep that original picture with the extra sky in it, but I want to have this one as well. So in this case here, I'll go ahead and do save as, and I'll call it Purple Flowers Cropped. So that way I know which one it is. So I'll go ahead and click on save. And now if I go back to my content and pages, I now have purple flowers as well as purple flowers cropped here. So I can go ahead and save that. Now, in order for these to be able to be used on the live site, these need to be published out. So I can come in here and we'll go ahead and publish this. So I'll go ahead and select these and click on publish and click on publish here. And it tells me here that 6 files were successfully published and 1 wasn't published. And the reason is because one of those is checked out to me. So I can go ahead and close this error message and I can see that we had the purple flowers ones checked out to me. So in this case here, what I want to do is when I go through and publish, so let's go ahead and republish these again. So we'll select them here and we'll click on publish. I now have an option here to select include checked out files. So I'm going to go ahead and select this time so it'll pick up that purple flower one that's currently checked out to me. And we'll go ahead and publish. So now it shows me that all 7 files were successfully published here. So now let's go ahead and place 1 or 2 of these. So I'm going to come back to my content pages, come back into training here, and let's go ahead and use this sample page that we just created. So now I'm going to come back in here. I've got my main content button. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And to place an image on here, we're going to go up. We're going to use insert. We'll pick our source here. And now it's showing that we're pointing to Sites Galena in the training folder images. I want to use that Paul's images folder. So I can just click on training. That takes me up 1 level. I now see Paul's images. And let's go ahead and add the forest picture in here. So I'm going to select on that, click on insert, give it a description. If I wanted to resize it or change the appearance on it, we've seen how to do that. We'll click on OK. It now adds that forest picture for me. Sometimes though, what happens is you're working on a page. Let me go ahead and make some space here. You want to add an image. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to do a right click this time. I'm going to insert edit image. I look at my source, and this may be the point where I go to training, go to Paul's images, and realize I wanted the picture of the gopher, but I didn't bring it in. So at this point here, it's like, I need to bring that picture in. So what I could do, I could go ahead and close out of here, go back, upload the picture, but I actually have an upload button right here in the top right-hand side. So I go ahead and click on upload. I'm going to go ahead and add, and I can select the picture or pictures that I want to upload right now. So I'll go ahead and select the gopher here and click on open. Gives us our gopher here, and then I can do start upload and insert it. So we'll go ahead and give this a description. Again, as we're doing these, we can see that we have dependency tags on everything, but it's still showing us where these images are being dropped off, and click on OK. So now we have our gopher picture here as well. So now we have our two pictures here. I'm going to go in and save and exit. And what happens is I can see my forest picture just fine, but the gopher picture is showing as a broken link. Now, when I click on that preview, it's giving me the best representation that it can of what this will look like on the live page. And what it's doing is it's recognizing that that gopher picture is not on the production server yet. The forest picture was with that group of pictures that we went ahead and published out to the production server. So in this case here, if I go to publish this, I now have an option in here to include unpublished dependencies. It's saying, do you want me to go ahead and publish that gopher picture for you when you go ahead and publish this page? So I'll say, yes, thank you. So I'll go ahead and hit publish and leave that checked. So now if I go to my new window and see the page, it went ahead and published it, and it brought that gopher picture out to the production server for me as well at the same time. I can close that. We'll come back in here. I'll go back up to content pages. And let's go back to our example page. So this is kind of where we've been working out today. Now what we want to do is let's talk about those assets a little bit more. We've talked about the idea of having the tuition on several different pages and creating an asset for it. So to create an asset, you want to go to the directory that you want. You want to go up, not go to the directory, but you want to go to content and then assets. And on here, we've got our green button where we can create a new asset. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And what we're going to do this time is we're going to do a web content asset. So we're going to call this one tuition asset. Give a description. We can add tags if we wanted to. Now this gives us the ability to lock it to the site. So this goes back to where up in the upper right-hand corner here, we have Galena, but maybe you have a drop-down with several different sites. You can say, I only want this asset used on maybe the business site because the architecture site has a different tuition amount. So you could go ahead and say that you want to lock this to site. Asset groups down here, access groups, we can have who can actually edit this asset, and you also have available to who can actually use this. So I'm just going to leave these both to everyone. And then down here we have our WYSIWYG editor. So we can say tuition for 2019 fall is, let's say, $200. So we'll go ahead and create this. Gives us a little preview here. And like many of the other things that we've seen today, in order for you to be able to use it, we need to publish it out. And we'll click on publish here. So now if I come back into my content pages, and let's go ahead and go back to our example page here. And I'm going to edit main content by clicking on the green button. I'm going to paste this asset here at the very top. I'm going to actually, I don't want to put it there. Let me go ahead and put it down here. Make a little space here. So I'm going to place the asset here, come up. Our asset is the little two arrows that making a rectangle. I'm going to insert asset. If I scroll down here, I can see that we have a tuition asset here on the bottom. It shows me what it is, and I can insert that. Again, it's just going to show up as the green and white bar box. It won't show the asset until we go into a preview. So I'm going to go ahead and save and exit. And now we can see that we have our tuition for 2019 is for fall of for fall of 2019 is $200. So let's say we get to the point where we're updating it for spring of 2020 and we're realizing that is now 205. At this point, maybe over time, we've placed this asset on 4 or 5 different pages. And we don't want to have to go through each of those 4 or 5 pages and update the asset on each one. We can actually update the asset itself, and that will go ahead and populate and go to those multiple pages. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back up here to Content and go back into Assets. I'm going to come down to my tuition asset, click on it, and then we're going to check it out, and now we can edit it. So for 2020 spring, is going to be $205. So now I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to publish it out. Change to spring 2020, publish that. Lets me know down here that the asset and 1 subscribing page have been published successfully. So what the system has done, it's taken that live page that we have and automatically updated it for us. So if I come back in here to Content, go back to Pages, go back to my example page, I can now see that this is updated for me, that tuition for 2020 is now, for spring, is 205. If I go out to my versions and I look at that, it doesn't show on here. I thought that would show. Well, it didn't publish for me, but if I publish it here and view a new window, it now has that on there for me. So it's automatically updated that for me. So if I had this on several pages, it would go through and update all those pages for me. Let's go back here and go ahead and close that page. Come back to Content Pages. We can see our page here. Let's go back to our example page and we'll check it out to us. And we'll go into Edit Main Content. Other thing I want to show here is when we're on here and we go to Properties, we do have our parameters for the page. Additional things you have on here is access. So when you access, this will give you the access group of who can actually work on this page. So you can, depending on how this is set up, you may have a group, you may have just the marketing department. So these are actually going to be groups that can be set up here. We also have on here under properties, we have reminders. So there's 2 different types of reminders. There's a scheduled reminder and there's a stale reminder. So what this allows you to do is if you wanted to set up a reminder, in 6 months, I need to remember to come in and update this page because we're changing it from the spring information to the fall information. So I can set up a schedule reminder here and we can select how far out we want to change this. So we can set it up to, let's say we want this in October 4th, we want this to be updated. We can change the time, so I want the reminder to come in maybe around 2 in the afternoon. And here I can send it to myself or I could send it to another group. So if there were other groups out there, I could send it to them. We can put in a subject here. We can put in a message. I can also send a copy to email. So that way, if I wanted to be reminded, but I didn't want to have to be in here every day looking at my messages, I could actually have an email sent to me as well. So those are reminders. We also have stale reminders. What a stale reminder would give me is maybe, let's say this is a page that we want to make sure that we update every 7 days. So I could say that I want this stale reminder to pop up after 7 days if it hasn't been republished between now and then. Again, I can send a message to myself. I can put a subject in here, and if I wanted, I can have a copy emailed sent to me. So if, let's say within the next 3 days, I go ahead and make changes and republish that, at that point, this counter for 7 days will restart. So it's just looking for a time period that I go through of 7 days, and there's no changes to it. So that's where the stale reminder will come in. Other options here, there is a log. So basically the log just gives you everything that was done on this page all the way back to the initial beginning. If you come up here and we go to our publish, there's a couple of different options that you have for publish. You can actually schedule when something will be published out. So you could come up here, click on schedule, and say, when do you want this published? So let's say there's an event going on and I want the changes to this page to be published Saturday night at 8 o'clock. So I could come in here and say I want it to go ahead and change it to Saturday, and we'll go ahead and change it to 8 p.m. So at that point here, we can go ahead, send ourselves a notification just that that page did get published out. The other thing you can do here under publish with this is submit for approval. So let's say I'm working with a page and I've made the changes that I wanted to. Within here, I can actually come in and direct it to somebody else to look at. So if I just finish this page and I want the training administrator to look at it, I can go ahead and send it over to them with a subject and a message, and go ahead and have them review the page before it actually gets published out. So I can actually go in and work with other people on pages and have them review it for me. The last thing on here is expire. So if I had a page that I wanted to remove, I could actually have it replaced or recycled. So let's say there was an event going on, and once that event's done this Saturday night, I want this page to come down, but I don't want to have to be sitting in the site or come in and do it. I can actually select when I want that page to be removed from the system. So we can say we want this at 8 p.m. So we can go ahead, have it 8 p.m. It will come down off the site for us, and it'll come down off the live site as well. Again, you can send a message to yourself. You could even send an email to yourself as if you wanted. With that, that's the information that I had for you today. I'll go ahead and leave this open for just a little bit. If you have any questions, go ahead and put those in on the page. And the next monthly orientation will be Friday, June 14th, 2019 at 10. So I just want to thank everybody for attending. This recorded presentation, materials, and PowerPoint slides will be available to you on our support site. I want to thank everyone for attending this monthly orientation training. Our next orientation training, as I mentioned, will take place on Friday, June 14th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.